So it's a little late again, but what are you going to do? I'm here to give you my recap of Week 10 of the 2020 NFL season. I'm going to go right into the last week's slate of games. On Thursday night, the Colts offense certainly came to life in the second half, and they end up streaking away rather convincingly over the Tennessee Titans on the road, too. Really quality win. Indy wins over Tennessee 34-17. When you shift over to the Sunday action, the skid marks aren't the skid marks anymore. It might not be championship caliber, but they're a good team, and they're well coached apparently. And their defense showed up in a big way, shut down Deshaun Watson in the Texans offense. Cleveland wins 10-7. Alex Smith tried to lead a big comeback in the second half. They were down 24-3 at one point. I don't know why I kept watching that game, but I didn't. It ended up being a bit of a barn burner, typical type of Detroit Lions type affair. But after the Washington football team tied the game, they allowed the Lions to get back in position thanks to a Chase Young unnecessary roughness penalty, which was really dumb. Matt Prater hits a game-winning 59-yard field goal. Detroit wins 30-27. The Packers, in a game that you would have thought they should have won easily, rolling away with it, really struggled, and they had to come back and score in the fourth quarter to take the lead, but they do enough to hold off Jacksonville 24-20. I guess you can't win them all dominant. Win is a win. Giants got 3 rushing touchdowns, which helped lead them past the Eagles 27-17. Oh, baby, that NFC least action is coming at you in your face. The Buccaneers, coming off of the last week's embarrassing loss to the Saints, they responded in a huge way offensively, absolutely destroyed the Carolina Panthers 46-23. Amazing how they could go from 1 week scoring 3 points to the next week they're scoring 46. Josh Jacobs and Devontae Booker combined for 193 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground, and the Raiders forced Drew Lock to have 4 interceptions. Raiders cruise over the Broncos 37-12. Tua time slows down the Herbert Heat. A matchup of 2 of the quarterbacks taken in the top 6 in this year's NFL draft. Neither one of them was necessarily spectacular, but the Dolphins got just enough from Tua and just enough from the rest of the team. Here comes Miami all of a sudden. Dolphins beat the Chargers 29-21. In what was truly a great finish to a great game on Sunday, 2 potential MVP candidates of Josh Allen and Kyler Murray squared up. It was Kyler Murray with his 40-something yard lob of a Hail Mary, of a prayer to the triple covered DeAndre Hopkins. That's what a second-round pick gets you, apparently, if you're trading with Bob. Good Lord Almighty. Touchdown Cardinals. They end up beating the Bills 32-30. Russell Wilson has 3 turnovers. The Rams get 3 rushing touchdowns. They end up getting enough to be able to overcome the Seahawks 23-16. Drew Brees goes down, but the Saints still had enough to be able to comfortably hold off the 49ers 27-13. Big Ben threw for 333 yards and 4 touchdowns as the Steelers really took it to the Bengals 36-10. Impressive stuff. The Steelers now sitting there, the lone undefeated team still in the NFL. On Sunday night, the Patriots responded in a big way in a monsoon. And all of a sudden, you start to wonder about the Ravens a little bit. It's a really good win for the Patriots if they have any hopes of making the playoffs this year. They needed this one, and they got it. They beat Baltimore 23-17. And then, of course, on Monday night, because they're going to do what the Bears do, the mediocrity of the Midway, noontime Nagy and crew going, oh my God, at home Monday night. And they allow Captain Kirk to end his Monday Night Football curse. Vikings beat the hapless Bears offense 19-13. Good Christ almighty. In terms of your winners and losers for the week, winners, I got to look at the Indianapolis Colts. That's a critical divisional game on a Thursday night, short week on the road, and to not only go out there and win, but do so convincingly was a really strong performance for them. The Miami Dolphins, don't look now, but here they come. What are they, 6-3? Now you've got Tua's been in the lineup. You've won 3 straight games. Like you got a little something there in South Beach. A really good win for them, most definitely. And then the Minnesota Vikings, like don't look now, but here they start to come back up, creeping their way into the NFC playoff picture, and Kirk Cousins ends his Monday Night Football curse. So, it's got to feel like a big win for them. In terms of the losers, the Washington football team. Like, that piece of hot, flaming garbage dumpster fire, NFC least, is there for the taking. And you look at Washington and you feel like, in theory, this team can take it. And then they go out there and lay an egg in the first half like they did on Sunday, being down 24-3. And even when they get themselves into a position and they come crawling back and clawing back, and all of a sudden they tied the game at 27 late, like to allow Detroit to immediately come right back down and get in position and let Matt Prater kick a 59-yard game-winning field goal. Like, that's just more Snyder suck if there ever has been. The Baltimore Ravens, like, I'm sorry. I know the conditions were rough on Sunday night, but you got to beat the Patriots there. Like, you're supposed to be contending for a Super Bowl. The Patriots aren't doing that this year. You can't lose to them on Sunday night. You just can't. And then my Bears, what the hell more can I say? The offense scored 6 freaking points. Like, it was jokes city. It's an embarrassment. It's a laser's eye, Lazor, for Nick Foles, Fails. And if Nick Foles hurt his ass in the game on Monday night, imagine how much all of our asses are hurting. Tired of getting spanked by everybody. Fuck, it's horrible. Bears have now lost 4 in a row. They're at 500, 5-5, and they're heading down from there. In terms of games balls for the week, I'll go to Kirk Cousins. Yeah, he didn't have the most impressive statistical week among quarterbacks, 292 yards and 2 touchdowns passing. But, this is a big spot for the Vikings. Go on the road against a divisional opponent on Monday night, a situation that he's always struggled in, and to come out with a victory, like, that was big stuff. Like, he got that monkey off his back. And now it's put the Vikings, starting to get in the wheelhouse of thinking about being in the playoff race. I look at running backs. I'll go with Ronald Jones II. Rojo had 23 carries, 192 rushing yards, which certainly was helped by the 98-yard touchdown run. He was a guy that was big on a couple of years ago in the draft process, and his inconsistent usage or his lack of usage by Bruce Arians has kind of frustrated me at times. But this was a big performance for him and helped the Buccaneers roll over the Panthers on Sunday. Justin Jefferson, again, might not have been the best pure statistical day, but for a rookie to do what he's doing, the Bears have a good secondary. And he still lit them up for 8 receptions and 135 yards. Justin Jefferson is ridiculous. He is absolutely the real deal. And he's only a little more than halfway through his rookie season. It's going to be scary to think about having to face him potentially in the division for the next 8 to 10 years. And then defenses, I'll go with the Raiders. They only allowed 12 points against the Broncos. They forced 4 Drew Lock interceptions. This Raiders team is one of those ones that's just kind of creeping under the radar. They might not be great, but they're certainly looking like a playoff team at this point. Which brings me to my 2-minute drill for the week. And, I got to ask, what's your most embarrassing time to be a fan of your team? Like, if you're a Jets fan, is this the most embarrassed you've ever been by them? Or do you go back long enough to remember the Rich Kotite days? If you're fans of other teams, is this the most embarrassed that you've ever been? Because I've been thinking about this. The Bears have had a lot of years of mediocrity and a lot of years of absolute suck. And consistently crappy quarterback play, bad GM hires because their team president's a douchebag and a moron and completely unqualified. You got a bean counter as your team president making football decisions. Gee, I wonder what could go wrong here. So he continues to hire GMs that fail because in part they hire head coaches that fail, in part because the general managers don't know what the hell they're doing when it comes to drafting and other free agent roster decisions. So as a result, you get into this spot and you're just embarrassed. You're watching this team on Monday night. And I got to say, I don't know if this is the most embarrassed I've ever been of being a Bears fan. Maybe I would go back to the 97-98. Hey, traded a first-round pick for Rick Meyer because Dave Wanstead's a frickin' idiot. Those 4-4 Bears teams were really bad. The John Fox teams were really bad, just collectively really bad. This might be the most apathetic I've ever been towards the Bears, just because it's just tiresome. It's just boring. Not only do they play losing Bears
football, they're just boring to watch. And while I don't know that I'm embarrassed to say I'm a fan of them, it is what it is. I don't say that I'm embarrassed of the team because I've seen so much of this in the past. What does it matter? But I apologize sincerely to everybody in the world that actually tuned into that game Monday night and had to sit through that crap. That's just a joke. That, in and of itself, is embarrassing. And everybody involved with that Bears organization should be ashamed of themselves. And, of course, they aren't. And absolutely nothing will happen to ever change things.